Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. This is Professor Vandana Chakrabarti, Director, Lifelong Learning and Extension in SNDT Women's University. Today we are going to learn about motivating and mobilizing stakeholders. This module deals with the strategies used for motivating and mobilizing the stakeholders, particularly learners and volunteers for the literacy program. The objectives of this module are to detect the need for motivating stakeholders, to explain Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to examine the needs of adult learners and volunteers, to clarify community mobilization and relate it to literacy campaign, the phases of literacy program and detect the challenges in each phase, to relate the modes of environment building for literacy program, India's concern for improving its performance in the area of literacy is evident from the series of literacy programs undertaken during the past 7 decades. In 1991, India had a literacy rate of 52.21%. Large-scale problems need large-scale solutions. The successful literacy campaign of Ernakulam, which led to declaration of Ernakulam as a totally literate district, proved to be a trendsetter in the decade of 1990s. The total literacy campaign was adopted as a strategy by the National Literacy Mission in the 1990s. District was then unit of implementation. District after district took up literacy campaign, and out of 600 districts in India, 597 were covered under the total literacy campaigns. The total literacy campaigns were time-bound, area-specific and volunteer-based. Huge effort was made not only to motivate all the non-literates in a village to enroll as learners, but also mobilize a large number of volunteers to teach in the program. Schools and college teachers, educated farmers, government officers, number of women's groups, retired soldiers, village youth and many more participated in the campaigns as volunteers. A conducive environment was built to sustain literacy work through all its phases. Environment building committees were formed that interacted with all other committees to ensure that the tempo of activities that was built up was maintained till the end of the program. Even today, motivation and mobilization strategies are an important concern of the literacy program. The current flagship literacy program of Government of India, the Sakshar Bharat program, formulated in 2009, has a target of imparting functional literacy to 70 million adults in the age group of 15 years and beyond. Simultaneously, 1.5 million adults are to be provided basic education and an equal number are to be provided vocational skills. The primary focus of Sakshar Bharat program is on women, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, minorities, other disadvantaged groups and adolescents in rural areas in low literacy states. The program deals with huge numbers and spread. In order to sustain the interest of all stakeholders in literacy program, it is important to use appropriate strategies as per local situation and needs. All those concerned about literacy have to continuously look for new ways of motivating and mobilizing people. What motivates people? What motivates non-literates to enroll in the literacy activity? What makes them overcome many difficulties and continue to participate in the literacy activity? What motivates volunteers to join in this activity and continue over long periods? This issue has to be seen from two angles. One, what motivates and sustains the motivation of individuals? And two, What strategies can be used to motivate people and sustain their motivation? One view is that satisfaction of needs motivates people. Scholars have explained motivation in various ways. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is well known, and we will briefly view it here. According to Maslow, needs at the lower levels of the hierarchy dominate an individual's motivation as long as they are unsatisfied. Once these are sufficiently fulfilled, the individual turns to satisfaction of higher needs. Physiological needs are at the bottom of the pyramid and often referred to as basic needs. These include food, shelter, rest, exercise, and so on. These needs must be met in order to survive. Next to survival needs are safety and security needs. We need to feel both psychologically and physically safe and free from danger and deprivation in order to be productive. Security needs are a problem when there is violence in the home or community, lack of friends and family who can take care of us. Next are the need for belongingness. Although people are sociable in different ways, they all need to interact with other people to a certain extent. Social needs include needs to belong, have friends, relationships, or be part of a recognized group as a group member. For example, an ethnic group, a religious group, a group of friends, or a group within an organization. The need to be wanted and respected by other people is a strong motivator. Higher to that is the need for self-esteem. Even a modest person wants to attain prestige and recognition in a group, be appreciated for her achievements and good work. People's need for self-esteem and respect attains importance when the needs at the base of the pyramid are satisfied. At the apex of the pyramid are self-actualization needs. The needs for being productive in life, doing meaningful work, feeling a sense of growth and development, and a person wishes to be better at what she does and aspires for personal growth, self-fulfillment and realization of full potential. Let us now look at literacy and need fulfillment. The non-literate population is by and large the deprived population. A large number are from the lower rungs of the caste hierarchy. They are preoccupied with their struggle for their daily living. They have little access to information because of illiteracy. They are able to see the connection between literacy and how it fulfills their needs. They may feel motivated if they see this connection. They have to be convinced that literacy will give them access to information which will improve their income, health, housing and production, leading to better chance of fulfilling their basic needs. Access to information will also help them to understand exploitative practices and the alternatives available to them. Learning together in groups will satisfy social needs and give them a sense of power to deal with oppressive situations. Attainment of literate status will improve their self-respect. As far as the volunteers are concerned, participation in literacy programs has more to do with improvement in their status, self-respect, doing meaningful work to improve the lives of others. This module is about motivation and mobilization of stakeholders. Motivation and mobilization are based on two different paradigms. Motivation is individualistic and one can develop strategies to motivate people, but they are motivated individually. Mobilization is always used to indicate collective action. Community mobilization refers to the process of building social relationships in pursuit of common community interests. It is seen as being the foundation of the community development process. It seeks to empower individuals and groups of people by providing them with the skills they need to affect change in their own communities. It is a process whereby a group of people become aware of a shared concern or common need and decide to take up mobilization in order to create shared benefits. It is a continual and cumulative process that involves communication, education, and organization, which together lead to community mobilization and development. The important steps in community mobilization are identification of the problem or issue, selection of a strategy to solve the problem, mobilization of the community, implementation through people's participation, assess the results and bring about improvement. Core areas have to be selected at the beginning. The core areas have to be identified. For instance, poverty, health, maternal and child mortality, HIV, AIDS, malaria, maybe education, pre-primary, primary, secondary, adult education, women's empowerment, water and sanitation, agriculture and allied sector, and so on. There could be any core area. It is necessary to identify a common issue that the whole community can get involved in. Information has to be collected about the issue and also about the community. It is essential to recognize the community resources and isolate the constraints. Then comes selection of a strategy. Depending on problem, dialogue has to be planned with the community. A strategy is then selected in consultation with the community. Sometimes a problem requires sensitization on the issue. At times it calls for mobilization of community. Occasionally, interaction with individual family members is needed. What are the key tasks involved in community mobilization? Developing an ongoing dialogue between community members, creating and strengthening community organizations, forming committees, etc. Creating an environment in which individuals can empower themselves to address their own and their community's needs, promoting community members' participation. Let us now look at implementation of community mobilization in literacy program. The literacy program starts with a survey to understand the extent of illiteracy. The available resources like educated volunteers, places where classes can be conducted, etc., and also detect the constraints. Strategies are deployed to sensitize, inform and involve community in decision making in all phases of literacy program, from survey to assessment and corrective action. Why is environment building needed? Environment building activities are conducted during all phases of the literacy program to attract non-literates and volunteers to participate in the literacy activities. Environment building is done in order to create awareness amongst its sections of society, especially the target groups of the need to become literate, to attract the non-literates and enroll them with Gram Panchayats, to maintain enrollment of all and prevent dropouts, to motivate, enroll and keep involved an army of volunteers in 10 different capacities, including volunteer teachers, master trainers, monitors, contributors, etc. To involve public, private and volunteer sector in the program, to involve various social, political and cultural movements in literacy work, to facilitate information of people's committees to various levels to implement literacy programs. Environment building is not a one-time activity undertaken through the currency of the program in all its phases. The participatory phase involves creation of a conducive environment for literacy, wherein literacy becomes a part of social discourse. Every strata of society is approached and its support and cooperation for the literacy initiative is solicited. This is also mobilization at the macro level, when literacy becomes everyone's agenda. The non-literates, educated, organized groups such as self-help groups, user groups, panchayat, social leaders, opinion leaders, youth and village elders. The preparatory phase starts with the constitution of the committees at district, block, gram panchayat levels and span across environment building, survey, training of literacy personnel and commencement of the teaching learning centers. Teaching learning is the second phase. While the motivation and mobilization efforts can assure enrollment of learners and volunteers in the initiation of teaching learning process, it is the most critical phase at retention, regular participation and smooth teaching learning progress are most challenging. This is the phase when sustaining the morale of the volunteers as well as learners are most needed. This is also the phase when the structures initially envisaged for management and mentoring come into test, mobilizing irregular and absentee learners, dropouts on account of personal problems as well as on account of learning difficulties, and volunteers on account of lack of concern for their problems they face with respect to teaching learning phase need to be handled constantly. There is also the time and the most creative method of motivation and mobilization would need to be devised to keep up motivation and morale of the learners and volunteers by linking literacy and stages in the literacy program with local, state level and national events and festivals. Completion of primers, organization of tests, celebration of local, state and national festivals and events by connecting them with literacy are some of the ways to minimize and tackle mid-term problems, mid-program problems. In the post-program phase, mobilization needs to be envisaged to share and celebrate the program outcomes and to felicitate those who participated with distinction in the program in different capacities. This could be the learners, the literacy volunteers and other literacy personnel through certification and felicitation, sharing of experiences with participants of various activities during the program may be a part of the post-program process. Environment building is essential to motivate and mobilize stakeholders. Modes of environment building would vary from place to place depending on local factors like cultures, traditions, educational background, facilities, human power available and so on. Let us look at some of the possibilities and tactics for environment creation in the literacy program. A multimedia approach wherein all possible media, conventional, traditional and modern are used to yield maximum result. The timing of the publicity itself is crucial to environment building. The mode of carrying out each activity as planned in such a manner that maximum publicity is created. Special efforts are made at the time of organizing these activities to involve each section which creates a conducive environment even if it does not yield result in terms of increase in literacy figures. Let us now look at the tools of mobilization commonly used in the literacy program. Regular programs in radio and television channels for information, motivation and active involvement of people have to be broadcasted and telecasted. Systematic use of newspaper is absolutely necessary for creating a positive attitude towards promotion of literacy. With changing times, the potential of social media and information and communication technologies would be exploited for the program. This needs induction of new technologies based on computer. Some experiments like computer-based functional literacy, computer-based literacy testing tools and literacy through EduSat have already been done. More innovations are required to be done with the whole gamut of modern media technologies. Street theatre, street plays known as nukkad nataks, skits and other theatrical performances motivate people with stories that encourage non-literates to learn. The theme of these plays, when used for environment building, is related to literacy and other social issues experienced by the people. Sponsoring theatre groups to perform in street corners, hamlets in rural areas helps to reach and sensitize those segments of society who are indifferent and aloof. Traditional and folk media are also used in this program. A program of people's education should lead to a renaissance of people's culture. Traditional and folk arts are used in furtherance of literacy and adult education programs, particularly because people identify with characters in the folklore and feel both entertained and influenced by them. Jathas or cultural troupes for literacy have been an important part of literacy movement. Kala Jathas are tested cultural modes for effective mobilization. In fact, Kala Jatha is instrumental in getting resounding and long-lasting impact on the minds of the people. When Jatha arrives in a particular locality, people get involved in arranging sound system, lights, chairs, food and all kinds of arrangements. The important aspect of Jatha is that the amateur artists of the Jatha, the local youth, motivate people through their performances and also play an important part in taking classes and sharing other responsibilities in the literacy program. Prabhat Feri is also used as a tool for motivating in rural areas. Prabhat means morning, and Prabhat Feri consists of people walking in a procession with placards motivating people on the way. People from every community sector participate in Prabhat Feri or these morning rallies, and the processions are organized either in the morning or evening. People en route motivate with slogans and songs that they sing in Prabhat Feri. These are generally literacy songs that are sung to motivate people. In Padayatras, a group of people move from one place to another, village to village or within the village, on foot to contact community people in order to mobilize them and include them in the ambit of literacy. Cycle rallies are organized at panchayat, block, or state levels involving school boys, girls, women, children, government officials, NGOs, local youth and others to create a favorable environment for literacy. They recite slogans and literacy songs. The rally moves in special style when a group of cyclists moves wearing t-shirts or dress embossed with logo of literacy program or literacy slogans. It attracts a lot of attention. They often travel with banners and flags tied to their cycles. Different types of rallies of school children, women and panchayat members are organized to motivate learners and volunteers. Different types of and different sizes of balloons are used in balloon shows for mobilizing the literacy workers, especially on literacy day or on the day when the teaching starts at Gram Panchayat level. Wall writing. Literacy slogans are written on walls, trees, houses, shops, Panchayat Bhavan, Samudayik Bhavans, that is community halls, alphabets, words, sentences covered within the primers are displayed in these writings. Slogans having effective messages are placed at different places like railway stations, bus stops, market centers, public places, panchayat bhavans, government offices, etc. Posters on different issues like literacy, women's empowerment, health, right of women, etc. are developed by the Directorate of Adult Education and SRCs and used at various levels. These can be developed by organizing workshops of artists, competitions amongst them. This can create environment for literacy among women and people in general. Through posters, discussions can be generated in literacy centers and panchayat, mahila mandals and gram sabhas also. Stickers can be used as a tool for mobilization. Some stickers can be used on vehicles, buses, public carriers, trains, government offices. In these stickers, some attractive and motivating slogans are used in local languages as well as in Hindi. Flags or patakas, as they call them, on literacy issues in attractive colors with literacy logo are used in public places and panchayat offices. Some stamp size flags are also given to literacy workers, learners, mobilizers and panchayat representatives, which they pin up on their dresses. Hoardings on literacy, women empowerment, etc. displayed at prime locations are very useful for environment building, as the activity gains a lot of visibility through these hoardings. Land bills and pamphlets, handbills, etc. on literacy may be distributed in different platforms and on various occasions like Gram Sabha, meeting of entire electorate in the village, melas or fairs in public places and marketplaces. Logos on the road are also drawn. Literacy logos on electric poles, pillars, trees, houses draw attention of the people to this activity. Identity cards are simple gestures. Issuing identity cards by the district magistrate or the chairman of the Jilla Parishad indicates the importance given to this activity. The holders of the identity cards, especially if they are volunteer teachers, they feel motivated and elevated. Collection of songs, collection of local and folk songs for highlighting importance of literacy is a very good activity. These songs are popularized by playing them in all programs. The learners learn these songs and sing it themselves. Publication of booklets about literacy activity are very important. These are published and distributed. Exhibition of different types of books, handicrafts, art, local crops, as well as exhibitions and demonstration of agricultural products and equipments are organized at block and panchayat levels to assemble the people, and they are sensitized for literacy by way of organizing interactive activities. Film shows based on literacy, social awareness are popular programs. Magic shows related to literacy, social evils, social taboos can be organized to show negative consequences of illiteracy. Puppet shows are also popular in some states of India and very creatively used for building a conducive environment for literacy. Stories are woven around social issues and their connection with literacy and how education helps to overcome personal and social problems. This proves to be a very useful tool for motivating non-literates as well as learners. Pustak Vachan Divas means book reading day, festivals, melas, book fairs. With increasing tribe of neo-literates, state resource centers should now organize book reading days at panchayat and block levels to create learning environment among the learners. Competitions on different occasions such as Literacy Day, Independence Day and Republic Day can be organized by Gram Panchayat, and some rewards should be distributed to literacy workers, learners and women workers. Excursions and tours of learners and volunteers can create an environment conducive to literacy. People enjoy such tours. Seminars, lectures and workshops related to literacy, awareness, women's empowerment, right to information, human rights issues, health and legal awareness can be organized at various levels to create an environment favorable to literacy. Women's forums like Mahila Mandal, self-help groups, etc. can also contribute to environment creation. Shibers, that is workshops and training camps for women to learn traditional skills, are organized in most places. Now there is a need to organize training camps for new vocational skills. In such camps, importance of literacy can also be stressed. Involvement of schools, colleges and universities in the literacy program should be increased to a great extent. National service scheme should be utilized. Social responsibility programs should be funded by corporates. Some corporate funding should come for this kind of activity. Eventually, every school should be developed into a community center for the education of children as well as adults. Linking literacy with icons is very important. Indian society has reformer saints, great men and women, thinkers, leaders of freedom movement and social reformers who have their place in the minds and hearts of the people. They have given messages in favor of literacy. Their sayings and ideas about literacy and education must be propagated in the masses. Let us now summarize our learning in this module. In order to sustain the interest of all stakeholders in literacy, it is important to understand stakeholder needs and to use appropriate strategies. The module explains Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It explains the needs of adult learners and volunteers. The module clarifies community mobilization and relates it to literacy campaign. It elaborates on the purpose of environment building. It describes the phases of literacy and detects the challenges in each phase. It relates a number of modes of environment building for literacy.